what we are, we already are. And, sometimes I liken what occurs here to cracking a safe. If you haven't cracked a safe yourself, you've probably seen a movie or a TV show where someone's cracking a safe. And they might have their stethoscope and they're listening as all the tumblers click this way and that way. And it's as simple as that. We realize who we are. We have many realizations along the way about that. None of those realizations is an arrival point or destination. It's just we feel more and more spacious, more and more expansive, until nothing bothers us anymore. We're just the vast expanse of infinite space, and our life is one of unalterable joy. So, it's as simple as that. And that what we might call complete enlightenment is the reality of wholly positive basic space. And all that means is that it is complete enlightenment equals complete benefit. The more we rest as the vast reality of who we are, the more obvious it becomes we've never needed to learn anything. We've never needed to learn anything. All is already known. All is already known in unimaginable ways. We find ourselves able to be and live in a way that we had never dreamt possible. So, when we read things in books, like we read about someone walking through a wall or flying into space or having knowledge of all sacred treatises or whatever we read about anyone who has ever lived, those things are true about us as well. All we are is this vast expanse that contains all knowledge, and we can't learn how to be that. We already are that. It only comes about through uncontrived rest. Complete freedom as every single perception. And all that means is when a thought comes up, it's an appearance in, of, as, and through awareness. That's all. That's all that it is. It's only the dynamic energy of awareness. Awareness isn't split off into emptiness or presence or just its energy. Awareness is inseparably all three. So if we try to make awareness into anything like presence or now or emptiness or dynamic energy, whatever it is, then we take up a frame of reference about what awareness is. But when we just relax, we live as that incredible reality of the inseparability of all three at once. The thought itself, the perception itself, is entirely empty of any origin other than awareness. It has no origin that's independent of awareness. And at the same time, it's naturally present. No one could deny that a thought, say of a tree or even something non-conceptual, is naturally present. There's a vivid reality of that natural presence. And then its energy or activity is also very obvious. There's something there, but at the same time, there's no movement. So we can't really say that it moves or doesn't move or is or isn't or anything else. There's no destination or arrival point. So, when we talk about our own awareness, we talk about what is unborn about us, what is entirely unborn, what has no source or origin, what's entirely uncreated. And what is entirely uncreated doesn't dwell anywhere. It doesn't dwell in any kind of a state, like no thought, no self, emptiness, even bliss or clarity. It doesn't dwell anywhere. Where would the personal identity be of the unborn? Where could we find a personal identity in the unborn? If we took anyone here, and say we took Shoshana and we decided, oh, we're going to find the personal identity of Shoshana, and we're going to absolutely prove that Shoshana has a personal identity. And we could all get together in the room, we'd surround Shoshana, we'd all take a look at her, and we'd look for Shoshana-ness in Shoshana. Somewhere in Shoshana, we were determined to find Shoshana-ness. And we could look at the skin, and we could look at all those little dancing hairs all over the skin. We could look at the blood vessels. We could look at the bones and the muscles. And we could look at all the organs of the body. But if we looked at each one of those things, we wouldn't find Shoshana-ness anywhere. We wouldn't find a trace of a personal identity, no matter if we searched high and low, if we searched forever. We could bring in an enormous electron microscope and put Shoshana under it, and all we would see were subatomic particles, electrons that all look exactly alike. And we could bring in everyone in the world, and we could bring in Shoshana's mother, and she wouldn't see Shoshana there. So you see, then we could take all those electrons, we could put them in a linear accelerator and just smash them beyond anything visible into light and sound. And still we wouldn't find Shoshana-ness. So all of this, all the light and sound of everything that is just an appearance of our own awareness. The constant in everything we just described, where we looked into Shoshana to find her Shoshana-ness, the constant is awareness. Awareness is the root of every experience we just walked through. So our awareness is the root of everything, no matter what it is that appears within it. It's equal to awareness, not something other than awareness. So, if we've taken ourselves to be a wolf, it doesn't mean we are one. And there's no wolf to get rid of. You see, if we keep focusing on the wolf, we'll never, if the child who lived with the wolves kept focusing on the wolf, then it would be impossible to realize the humanness. But when the child simply relaxes its humanness and exposes itself to more and more of the reality of what humanness is, that naturally comes about. So, this is, it's very easy. If we think it's hard, then we're on the wrong track. It's just so very easy. And the Great Freedom Teaching is just a simple description of how to learn that we were never a wolf. We are who we are, and the more that we expose ourselves to that, the more evident that reality is. So, yeah. The Great Freedom Teaching just speaks that in a language that any human being can understand. There aren't any terms that are terms that any human being on earth wouldn't understand. So, it's important. Who we are. It's directly accessible. It's not locked up in any kind of religious or spiritual category or philosophical or scientific or anything else. If we wanted to find a commonality about awareness, it would be humanness rather than any of these categories that require us to take on a special persona, another one. So, when we just relax with all these perceptions, no matter what they are, they're here, there, and everywhere, like firecrackers filling the sky. But just like each spark of a firecracker dissolves instantaneously in pure space, so all of our perceptions are exactly the same. And when we rest naturally in the immediacy of just one perception, we taste that conclusively. it is so definitively conclusive in us. When whatever perception comes up, we simply rest as the origin of that perception, awareness. And in that, we naturally see that we are that perception. It's not anything separate from awareness. It just appears, abides, and disappears instantaneously in, of, as, and through awareness. And when we do so, when we rest in that way, when we rest naturally, totally naturally, freely, without contriving anything, without describing anything, without seeking anything, we see in a very decisive way that awareness is all there is in that perception. Awareness is all there is. And we see that that perception vanishes without a trace, and that the next perception also occurs as that awareness. But see, if we think that we have to work to try to get to that, to some kind of state called awareness, then we're going to constantly be trying to rearrange all of our points of view in order to contrive a state. Life's a lot more fun than that.